Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Allison Leslie, and today I'm going to be talking about increasing accessibility to communication in the healthcare field. So I've been working for My Michigan Health for about 2 years, and a trend I've noticed is a lack of communication. So one thing you should know is that Telemedic is an app that we use, which is hosted on computers, so physicians and nurses can message about patient care, conditions, and discharge plans. That is, like I said, on a computer. The problem with that is that when you're doing direct patient care, you're not in front of a computer, so you lose that access to the direct communication. Some RNs decided to download Telemedic on their personal phones, which is actually a HIPAA breach, so we had to figure out a different solution to this problem. So my problem statement is basically a lack of computers is a lack of communication. And with no access to computers, there is no access to communication. So when nurses are in patient rooms, as they often are doing direct patient care, communication channels are completely cut off. So some methods that I used in order to figure out this problem, I started out with interviews. I did nurses, managers, case managers, and a COO of a different healthcare system. I then transitioned into empathy mapping, which we can see here, which basically just helps me to figure out stakeholders and really further develop the problem and understand why it's so important. I then moved to A/B testing, which was done via survey. I sent that out to healthcare providers and potential patients, which in this helped me figure out which prototype to go with, which we'll get to that in just a little bit. And then I concluded with right testing, which is basically where I took 3 nurses and I FaceTimed them 3 different times, and we refined the prototypes. So my results, I had it boiled down to 2 different prototypes that I could choose from. An iPhone idea, which is basically where there are unit iPhones that nurses sign out and use throughout their shift, which increases their communication with physicians. And then I also developed an idea where there is 1 doctor per unit instead of 1 doctor going to multiple different units. And so I thought maybe that might increase communication. But via the survey, I found out that people would much rather have the nurses have iPhones and be in constant communication than have 1 doctor for 22 other patients. That made them feel a little bit unsafe. So some feedback that I got from the survey takers was that there needed to be clear communication. So that includes a big old block M on the back of the phone that shows that this is a University of Michigan Health phone, and it's not a personal phone, that it's being used for work purposes. And then signage throughout the hospital. So that's in the lobby, cafeteria, elevators, and on the unit. That basically shows that in this healthcare system, we are implementing this. And the right process really helped me to refine that prototype. And you can see my final prototype here. So some discussion that I had with the survey takers and throughout this whole process was basically that safety, high communication rates, and open communication channels are the most important parts to them. They basically didn't care how the communication happened, just that it happened frequently and safely, and that their patient information was all being held safely. So obviously this was from potential patients, and it's also from other nurses. So some recommendations that I have are a better sign-in procedure, which I came up with a passcode, so that'd be a 4-digit passcode that nurses would have to enter every time they signed into the phone. This would help with data breaches, and we don't want any data breaches or anything like that. Also, phone etiquette is super important, so we would preach and teach that nurses should take a phone call out in the hallway and never in a patient care area, and to also explain to family members and patients if they have any questions. Also, there would be charging stations, which would ensure a smooth transition for the next shift, just to ensure that their devices are fully charged. So all of these problems and solutions that I've brought up today really boils down to the fact that open communication is extremely important, and this iPhone idea really helps that, and it would help make University of Michigan Health that much greater. Thank you for your time.